Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community. For the record, this is Sue Hagener, your Finance Director. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about the property tax levy for 2026. But first of all, let's talk about why property taxes are really important to the city. Property taxes are just one piece that make a healthy mix of revenues that support general governmental services. Overall, taxes make up about 65% of the general fund's revenues. There are three primary types of taxes that fund general governmental services. You've got your sales tax at about 53% of total taxes, or 4.7 million. You've got your utility taxes, which makes up about 2 million of our revenue sources, or 23% of our taxes. And we've got property taxes, which represent about 1.9 million, or 21% of our taxes. It should be noted that the amount of 1.907 million for property taxes on this slide, it is going to be slightly lower than the actual levy certification of the 1.920 million that's in your council materials. And this is due to additional information that we received at the end of October from the county after our budget numbers were determined. And those estimates, if you will, are primarily related to construction and refunds due to the city. Now let's revisit what property taxes help us pay for during the year. Well, these monies are deposited into the general fund, and they can generally be used for any governmental service or project. So property taxes can be used for city infrastructure like parks and streets and sidewalks and facilities. It can be used for community growth planning and development services. It can be used for public safety and community policing and emergency management. And it also funds important internal services, like services you get from your clerk's office or your finance department or your city manager's office. So property taxes really just help us keep the lights on. Property taxes are a part of a healthy mix of revenue sources that support the city's general governmental services. Now let's talk about what you individually get for your money when you pay your property tax bill to the county. Based on a property valued at $300,000, the total bill in 2025 was approximately $2,411 and slightly more than what was paid in 2024. This chart and the graph show the complete picture of the levy rate for SCWM residents and how the property tax is shared with all the other taxing districts. You've got the city, of course, you've got our schools, we've got a couple of pieces that go to the state. We pay for fire services, the library, our hospital, our county, the conservation district, and the port. And these are all really important services that we rely on. And you can see highlighted in the middle there, the city's share of that $2,411 is just $279 of the total estimated tax bill. In 2024, that tax bill was $284. So it went down by about $5 this last year. Each taxing district or jurisdiction determines their individual levy amounts, and then the county certifies the amount for each. Now here's a picture of the certified levy amounts for the city of SCWM since 2006. Certified levy means the actual dollar amount of the money that we request every year. And so you'll see our total certified levy amount that we are requesting this year is $1.920 million. Again, each year a jurisdiction can only increase their levy request by 1% over the prior year total levy. This revenue growth limitation was put in place by an initiative back in 2001. The 2001 initiative implemented revenue growth limitations for most governments to the 1% per year plus new construction. The revenue growth limitation of 1% does not keep up with inflation or population growth. In 2025, the CPI has hovered around 3%. In addition to the 1% request, the levy includes increases from new construction and annexations for the current year. And looking at the trend, you can see the impact of the Great Recession, where our levy amount was basically flat. This reflects little to no new construction during that time frame. In 2026, again, we are requesting a total levy certification of $1.920 million. Now let's talk about assessed value. Assessed value is an important component in calculating the property tax levy rate. And just so you know, the levy rate is what determines the portion of the bill that goes to each jurisdiction. It is the levy rate that is applied to your individual assessed values. Here's a picture of SQUIM's assessed values over the years. You can see in 2011, we had $907 million in assessed value. In 2017, 6 years later, recovering from the Great Recession, it was still at $906 million 6 years later, right? So you can see how the Great Recession impacted assessed values. It is the dip in values from 2012 to 2016. Since then, assessed values have continued to grow. We officially crossed over the 1 billion mark in 2019, and we continue to grow. Currently, our assessed value has been certified to exceed 2.1 billion, which is about 3% increase over it's about a 5% increase over the prior year. SQUIM's assessed value increased by approximately 96,000 this past year, 27 million related to new construction. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the levy rate line. It's the black line floating across the middle of the chart. You can see as assessed values increase, the levy rate goes down. When assessed values decline, the levy rate goes up. So now, as assessed values improve, the city's levy rate continues to go down. And here is our actual levy calculation for 2026. We start with the 2025 actual levy of $1.866 million. We add the 1% allowable increase for $18.6 thousand. We add new construction at $27 million, which gives us another $27,000 in additional tax receipts to the city, plus estimated prior refunds. And then you've got your 2026 allowable levy of $1.915 million. And again, we're certifying $1.920 with the county because not all of their numbers are in, and this is what they recommended. They said go a little bit bigger than you normally would. So that's what we're doing. So now let's calculate the estimated levy rate for 2026. And it's just math. You start with your estimated levy request of $1.915 million, and you divide that by the total estimated assessed value within the SQUIM city limits, which is $2.104 billion. And then you multiply that by 1,000 and you get your levy rate of 0.9099613. Now, even if the levy rate has declined from the prior years, if your individual taxes, your individual property taxes, they could go up, they could stay the same, or they could go down. It all depends on a lot of different factors. The biggest one is your individual assessed value. So again, the actual change in your total property tax will be relative to the assessed value of your home, and it is also very dependent on other actions of other taxing districts in Clallam County. It's important to note that the city only controls the city's portion of the total property tax bill. So in conclusion, staff are recommending council approve the 1% allowable levy increase, as 1% does not keep pace with inflation most years. And this is an important resource that helps ensure we've got the funds available to provide for council goals and community needs.